Back in the 90s, you would use VHS tapes to watch your movies or record shows or do a lot of things with it. But this is 2019, and that garbage is outdated. We use DVDs now and usually watch our movies on TV or we download them digitally. So, VHS tapes have become obsolete and aren't really used. But me, a great collector, I've collected many VHS tapes over the past few years, and I'm going to be showing them off. I have 2 whole boxes of them right here. So anyway, let's get started with this huge marathon of all of my VHS tapes. First, we're going to start out with the ones that were recorded that I found. We have The Black Stallion and The Black Stallion Returns. This is about a horse. We have Karate Kid 1 and 2. And The Wilderness Family and The Wilderness Family 2. Yeah, I bought these ones pre-recorded. That's the thing about VHS tapes back then. It was so awesome that you could just record your TV shows. And, I mean, of course you didn't have that much time on it. This one only had 120 minutes. This one had 6 hours. And this one had 6 hours also. So, yeah, that's a lot of time to record movies. Well, let's move on to my actual boxed VHS tapes. So, we have Back to the Future. These trilogies of movies were awesome. I mean, they were about time travel and had comedy. They were interesting, and honestly, these are this would probably be one of the greatest trilogy of movies ever. And yeah, I have them all on VHS tape in their boxings. I mean, you know, it's not special, but these are definitely a prized part of my collection. Jumanji. This is where it's at. Robin Williams. This movie is awesome. It's funny. I mean, that one part where the monkey's driving the car and everything. And it's about a board game that you can't cheat at. Jumanji's an actual game, but this game turns it into a real thing. This movie is funny. If you ever come across a VHS and have a VCR, get it. It is hilarious, an exciting, thrilling adventure the whole family will love. Oh yeah. Home Alone. I only happen to have the first one, but this is a classic. Maybe the best one. Even though 2 was definitely a distant second, and then after 2 they really sucked. But Home Alone is a very classic Christmas movie. It's even maybe as classic as Santa Claus. Maybe, I don't know. But still, man, a little kid setting up traps for 2 burglars? Who knew that would be so hilarious? Next, I have the worst movie in my collection. Star Wars The Phantom Menace. I don't have 2 or 3 because I'm not entirely sure they actually came out on VHS, but let's just say this one is a piece of freaking garbage. It's boring, okay? It's just boring. And when we first saw it, it was going to be like, oh wow, a prequel movie? This is going to be awesome. But then we watched it and it sucked. You know, it isn't a bad movie. It has decent lightsaber duels, but Qui-Gon Jinn, we don't really know a lot about him. He's kind of just a character they threw in there just to fill in all the plot holes that they needed to fill in. And honestly, it isn't worth it to watch this movie. Indiana Jones. Oh yeah, these movies were awesome, full of action-packed scenes and love stories. Unfortunately, I don't have Temple of Doom, my favorite of the series. I know I do have it, but I can't find it in my box. Oh well. It's still a very good trilogy, maybe even better than Back to the Future. You have Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade. It was made by George Lucas, who directed Star Wars, and Han Solo from Star Wars plays Mr. Jones. These are classic movies that if you haven't seen, man, you've been living under a damn rock. Dragonheart. Even though I haven't watched this movie, it's about a dragon. Long ago, when majestic fire breathers soared through the skies. It seems to be some sort of fantasy tale. I've never watched it, and we'll probably get around to it soon, so stay tuned for another episode of this. Batman and Batman Returns. These 2 movies are awesome. They're gothic and full of action-packed scenes. Although there were things after that, but I don't have them on VHS because, I don't know, they aren't really good in my opinion. Oh well. These are still great movies. If you ever see them, check them out. Ah yes, The Wizard of Oz, where color met movies. It all started in 1939 where this aired in the movies and eventually made its way over to the VHS, into the VHS capability. But this is a very classic movie. Honestly, this is the most known movie probably, even more known than Avatar or The Avengers Endgame. Yep, this is where it all started. You know, before this, color was obsolete, in movies at least, but it was very innovative. And after this movie aired, apparently, people cheered. Like, if they were cheering on something, like, yes, that was awesome! I would be too if I was living in 1938 and the next year came out an actual colored movie. That's pretty awesome. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? This mixed live action with animation cartoons. Honestly, this is a very innovative and creative movie title. They have to save Toontown from being destroyed by the evil some dude. Honestly, it's kind of suggestive. But other than that, this is a great movie. Except for when you get a boner. Short Circuit. This is a good movie. It's about a robot who wants feelings. Because, you know, robots can't have feelings. They are built to be killer death machines. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, this movie was good. It was big, and honestly, it's definitely worth the watch. So, yeah. There are more tapes in the first box, but we need to move on to some of the other ones I want to show off. So, we're going to just leave these ones for some other time next time. Anyway, let's move on to my second box of VHSs. Now, these VHSs I've had since I was a kid, and I always used to watch them. They're definite classics. Like, I have a bunch of dog movies. Fluke, Far From Home, Air Bud, Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. I mean, Cats and Dogs? Like, I have a lot of dog movies, so I just have to say one thing for all of them in this box. Rough. Anyway, let's move on. Let's start with The Never-Ending Story. This might have been my favorite movie when I was 5 years old. I watched it over and over and over again, even though it gave me nightmares. I was always afraid if I opened a book, I would get sucked inside of it, like Frankenstein or something, or Bram Stoker's Dracula. But that's just me and my 5-year-old. But anyway, this is a classic movie. It has the comedy, and honestly, it's really far out there, but I guess that's what's good about it. You have to really use your imagination to know this one. Spy Kids. This mixed comedy with James Bond's action. It's about two kids that are spies. And honestly, it was very, very cool when it came out. I mean, it just made you think, damn, that's an awesome family. When me, sitting on my ass, just watching movies all day when I was 7, I watched this one a lot. I loved it. It was funny and kind of cool. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I recently watched this movie, and it's like being on an acid trip. I mean, this car flies people around, and you go into worlds of fantasy. I mean, what kind of drugs do you have to be on to come up with a story like this? That doesn't mean it was bad. This is actually one of the most classic movies of all time. I actually rate this movie a 9 out of 10. Yeah, we're starting ratings now. No. Now, my favorite movie, my favorite movie of all time, The Sandlot. This movie defines classic. Open the damn dictionary book up, go to nostalgia, and just, this will be there, just this. The Sandlot. I love this movie. Honestly, I haven't watched it till maybe I was 10, but still, This movie is a definite classic. It's about kids playing baseball, and honestly, it's hilarious. Oh man. But then they got the remake or the sequel, whatever you want to call it. Actually, don't call it anything. It's a piece of garbage. Yeah, I know. Sometimes sequels can suck, but the first one definitely holds a place in my heart for the best movie ever. It isn't the best, but still. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Based on a book of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This is a very, very well-known book and movie, and again, it defines classic. Ugh. I don't have a lot to say about this movie. I was never a big fan. I always thought it was weird, you know? Oh well. Toy Story. I watched this movie all the time as a kid, but there was always something about it. I mean, maybe it's just the fact of toys coming alive when you aren't looking. That always kind of creeped me out, you know? Even though I didn't really play with toys when I was 9, I was kind of over that phase. This movie kind of scared me still. When was this made? Can't believe this is in VHS, you know? 1995. Personally, I thought it came out later, like sometime in 2001, but I guess I was wrong. Now it's time for the last VHS we're looking at. Again, I'm not gonna do every single movie in this box, but Flubber. This is probably one of the funniest movies I've ever watched. I mean, this is Robin Williams at its best. Even if you don't agree, nostalgia critic. Still, I like this movie. People are way too critical nowadays. Honestly, I like it because it's lighthearted and that little guy's funny. Well, this completes my first part of my VHS tape collection. I probably won't do this for a while, but I might come back to it. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a DVD collection next. But this is all. Milkshake Productions is out.